Okay, so good evening. Once again, we are coming together on this night to learn and practice the meditation. And this is the time that we have been contemplating on the Anapanasati, the practice of a breathing meditation, or mindfulness of the breath. One thing we have to remember that the practice of a meditation, while we are practicing, we use the different objects to concentrate, and that choosing those objects basically to divert our attention from so many places or so many objects to the one intended object. So that's intentionally diverting our attention to that object. And as we practice, gradually that becomes a custom, and a mind gradually settles. As the mind gradually settles, then we have to work with this mind itself. So knowing the attention itself, or a conscious awareness itself. And that is the task that we are practicing, so that we will be able to see how this mind is working and how this mind is influencing in our day-to-day life. And that also shapes the way we live, the way we speak, and the way we think. And once we have fully understood the nature of this mind, then we realize that in fact the mind that I think that I am, or the mind that I think that this is me, actually it is not. And the concept that I think that it is a happiness or beautiful, then eventually realize that in fact that is not beautiful, that is not permanent. So these are the conditions, the mental states we will be able to recognize. And that recognition helps to understand that which mental state do we have, and how these mental states are created or were created, and how these mental states have been rising and fading away. So with that, what we will further understand, will understood that there are different layers of this mind, and which is the reason why some days we are feeling so high, other days we're feeling so low, and some days we feel so down, and other days we feel so active. And these changes often happens in a quick moments. Sometimes we even do not know what is the cause that I feel so down. What is the cause so that I feel so energetic, like that. And that is simply because we haven't understood this mental states yet. How these minds been created, or how these minds been occurring. But once we practice, and gradually what happens that we begin to see the creation of it, and the different states of it, and why these different states are there, and these different states, how it is affecting. So that's sort of a mental state. We will be able to recognize and understand that. So that's why the practice of meditation, that's what we have to understand, that it's not just about paying attention to the breath or the object of a meditation and finding calmness and settling there, and working with that. Well, actually, that's just a preliminary and always in the background that is there to help us. In fact, the ultimate goal is to understand this mind itself and how these minds functions. So that's why in Satipatthana it comes arising and a vanishing of this mind, and understanding that how this mind within ourselves and also able to relate in the others as well, and also both, right? Not only understanding ourselves, not only understanding others' mind, but also ability to understand both minds. And that's also not only just in a superficial level, but ability to understand from the deeper insight. And that insight is actually the insight. That's an ability to so-called a discernment, the reality of this mind itself. So eventually we understand that this mind again actually doesn't exist, and that's the ultimate. So concept of a mind in Buddhism starts from wherever you are thinking, there is that mind, and this thinking mind itself becomes void, and so you can't find the mind itself. When when you can't find your mind itself, then there will be no such things called I am, or such things called a consciousness or a soul, and that is the ultimate. And understanding it actually links to understand the nature, how nature works. So that's why when we are working with that, understanding the mind and understanding the nature becomes a one and interrelates how these two things are influencing one another, and the different levels of it is there. So I offer this as a reflection for tonight to practice meditation. So let's practice. So sitting in a comfortable position and bringing your attention to the moment here and now. Realizing the presenceness of yourself. And be mindful of your sitting posture. And since we have been working on the breathing meditation, so bring your attention to observe the breath, incoming breath and outgoing breath. In an initial stage, you may have to force it to see it or feel it by taking a long breath or a short breath. Once you feel it, just let it be. It's about feeling. It's not about thinking of the breath. Feeling and recognizing that breath coming in and going out. And as you feel the breath coming in and going out, recognizing the long breaths, the breath that is coming in and going out. The course that our mind is, the breath becomes longer, remain long. And whichever state of the breath is, simply recognizing and mentally knowing that this is a long breath. While you're observing this long breath, as the mind becomes a presence with this breath, you will be able to recognize the shorter version of the breath coming in and going out. The more mind settles on the breath becomes subtle, short, and relaxed. You may be able to recognize the entire breath from the beginning to the end, each breath coming in and each breath going out.